going on, everyone? Today we have to go over AVANTIS because AVANTIS is over 5.4% in the last 24 hours. So that's pretty good. 203 million inside of trading volume, 105 million market cap. We're going to talk about this though. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor, none of this financial advice. Let's get straight into it. So yeah, AVANTIS has been moving up recently, but bad news and good news. Bad news is we're inside of a falling or a rising wedge, which is a bearish pattern. So obviously, for obvious reasons, that's bad. As you can see here, rising wedge is a bearish pattern. So we are inside of a bearish pattern here, guys. And I do see some other things that are looking slightly bearish as well. We have the %R trend exhaustion on the 4-hour chart. And before I go over this, I just kind of want to say this. Just because I say it's a bearish pattern doesn't mean it's going to be bearish. Doesn't mean it's going to dump and crash. It doesn't mean that. There's always a possibility that it doesn't. Remember, the success rate on a rising wedge going to the downside is only 81%. So 81% of times is going to go to the downside. So yeah, we'll see if this happens. In bull markets, it's saying that it's about an 81% success rate to the downside. After a downtrend though, which is what we just experienced, it's only a 51% success rate. So let that speak volumes, because we have just now got out of a downtrend. We're not necessarily in a bull market. We're in a bear market, and we just came off of a downtrend. So it means it's a much less likelihood of it playing bearish than bullish, but it's still a bearish pattern. So we still have to talk about it. Okay. So I say that because I know there's going to be some people, if it goes up, it starts pumping. Oh, Marcelo said it was bear, that it was bullish or bearish, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, whatever. Also, for the all the Twitter people out there that like to get their TA stuff on Twitter, you know, they never really go in depth fully on what is going on with the charts. So be careful when you follow Twitter TA specialists, because a lot of the times they're just going to show you stuff like this and you're like, okay, what is this? They're not going to tell you that this is a bearish expanding triangle or a bearish expanding triangle, because they don't know. So this is actually a bearish expanding triangle that they're drawing out here. And they drew that here and they're talking about it being bullish. It's probably not going to end up breaking out past this area because it's a bearish expanding triangle. So if it does pump, it's going to go back down. It's not going to continue upwards. It might, it has a possibility, but it has more of a likelihood to go down because it's a bearish expanding triangle. So be careful when you take Twitter TA advice. All right, be careful, because sometimes I go to Twitter just to know what not to do. Okay, just to know what not to do. Sometimes I go to Twitter. I don't want to keep putting them down, but yeah, be careful taking advice on Twitter. And taking advice from anyone, even from me. Don't take advice from me, because again, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. I don't give financial advice at all. So yeah, don't take advice from nobody. You know, just use the videos as a reference and use your own due diligence as the main reference. But anyways, this is a rising wedge, but again, we came into it from a downtrend, so it has even less of a possibility to go higher. So I don't know why I just got tripped up there, or lower, I mean. So that's what we're going to be looking out for here on AVANTIS. Now the %R trend exhaustion is telling me a different story here, because when you see this short-term trend break out like this, and the long-term trend doesn't necessarily follow it, when you see the short-term trend pull back, you see the price pull back and go down. So what we do not want to see is on the %R trend exhaustion, the short-term trend continuing to break out, and then the long-term trend doing something like this, kind of plateauing, and then the short-term trend coming down, and then these both going down at the same time. Now, I have seen it in cases where this has happened, and then something like this happened where this came and then both of them went up and then continued the bullish rally. So I have seen cases like that before, but with the way Bitcoin's operating, I would be very careful. I just now made a Bitcoin video showing how Bitcoin's %R trend exhaustion is actively going down because the short-term trend has far exceeded the long-term trend, and now they're both going to start curving downwards. So that's a possibility here inside of Bitcoin. And yes, even though the price is still increasing, just watch the whole Bitcoin video I made. Pretty much this could happen right here, and then this, and then possibly breaking out or possibly breaking down, or we could just come down here, not be able to get out anyways and break down, or we could do something like this and then break out, right? But we want to continue to make higher lows and higher highs. So that also goes for AVANTIS. We want to continue to make those higher lows and higher highs here. But inside of the case of AVANTIS, with it being inside of a inside of this rising wedge, I don't know why I can't speak right now, but inside of this rising wedge, it is definitely looking a little bit scary here. We just broke out of a falling wedge, which is a bullish sign, and then we immediately go into a rising wedge, which is a bearish sign. So this is it's pretty concerning. It's pretty concerning to say the least. It's crazy because once I started noticing this happening, I was actually about to buy AVANTIS a few moments ago, and then I was like, wait, hold on. And now it's at a rising wedge. So this is my plan. I actually might buy AVANTIS, possibly, if we see AVANTIS breaking out above this area here, because that's the top of, well, not the complete top of the rising wedge, but up here you can see we do have some resistance areas here. So if we can get past that resistance, and we've seen some contingency back here, but if we can get past that, then I would definitely be more comfortable buying if we can get past this first. But even at that, I probably still would not buy it, because I only have confidence of it getting to 47% before it drops, which is 10%, which I guess 10% is cool. 10% is cool, all right? It's not ideal, but 10% is cool. But anyways, if you got like $10,000, you can make a cool $1,000 on a 10% run like that. But we know how slow or how fast these things can move. They could move either super slow, like how things have been recently for AVANTIS, but then when they become bullish, they move super fast. So it might clear this gap very quickly. So keep that in mind. But yeah, this is a rising wedge again. So this is bearish. So, you know, use this however you want, but that's what it is. Now, there's a lot of buying pressure here on the MACD. Good amount of buying pressure. That's pretty bullish. And that's the 4-hour chart here. So everything is actually looking pretty solid other than the rising wedge. Everything else is solid. Now we are close to the top of this rising wedge. So if we were to dump from here, right? If we were to dump, we would probably end up breaking this, continuing down, but I just don't see it happening like that right now because Bitcoin seems a little strong, right? And Bitcoin is pulling back, which I mentioned before, something like this could happen right here, which is exactly what's happening right now. But you just want to pay attention, because even though it's dropping, notice the short-term trend is dropping past the long-term trend. This is a vice versa of the short-term trend going up ahead of the long-term trend. It's vice versa. When you see the short-term trend drop and the long-term trend go down slowly, you're going to see the short-term trend is going to make a bottom, and then it's going to come up as the long-term trend is halfway down, and then they're both going to go right back up, and then it's going to send the price shooting right back up. And usually what we see with these is higher highs and higher lows. That's usually the formation that it forms. It's going to be like this, and then this is the high, and then this is the higher low. I mean, this is the higher low, 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 and it's all based off of what we've seen. If you come over here and you look at the same thing that we had back here, what did we have? We had the short-term trend breaking past the long-term trend. So when you see the short-term trend breaking past the long-term trend, just know that you're going to be in bearish trading movements. And then when you see the long-term trend, you know, doing the breaking pasting or whatever you want to say, then you notice that it's going to start gradually moving upwards, kind of like how we're doing now. Our long-term trend has been actively climbing actually from here. Wait, why did I add text? I didn't mean to add text. All right. You're going to see the long-term trend actively climbing from here, and then you see it came down here, long-term trend. We're following the blue line. That's the long-term trend. So right now, the long-term trend is going to do something like this, and we're going to see another pump. So I'm willing to bet that we do something like this. Maybe we don't even go all the way down and we just continue up from there. Or maybe we do this and we continue up to 94K in Bitcoin. And that is very important because we know altcoins like to follow Bitcoin, but a lot of altcoins have not been following Bitcoin to the same certain degree. AVANTIS kind of has. Bitcoin's up 5%. AVANTIS is up 5%. But one of the altcoins that is not following Bitcoin the way I want to see it follow it is Pudgy Penguins. It's been moving a little bit slower. It's been moving a little bit slower than the other ones, which means that other altcoins could start to move slower too if Bitcoin continues upwards, which means Avantis is not out of the woodworks for that. So what could actually end up happening if that is true? Avantis might not have enough strength to push higher, and that could mean that the rising wedge is truly bearish. And also on the 30-minute chart, you can just notice how overbought we are up here. So I think that even though Bitcoin's moving up, as Bitcoin starts to pull back, we're gonna, and again, I don't think Bitcoin's just gonna dump after it pulls back, but we might see some altcoins dump as well. So you just might see stuff like Bitcoin or like Avantis going down. So I would say believe the rising wedge is true until it proves you otherwise, because it's a bearish sign. So usually when I have a bullish sign, I'm gonna stay bullish until I have reason to not be bullish. That's why on the whole way down, I've been bullish with Avantis, because the whole way down here since October, we've been inside of a falling wedge. So I've been telling people like, hey, like even though it's going down, like we're in a falling wedge. So yes, we're gonna lose more than half the value, but if you were smart, you pulled your position out, or at least half or some of your position out, and let it dump. And now you're looking at it now when it's kind of bottomed out, because Avantis is pretty much bottomed out. Yeah, it's at 105 million. It could go lower, but this is extremely cheap for a project that has an actual use case that people actually use. Like this, I'm not gonna lie. Like when it comes to projects, Avantis is one of the top when it comes to base. So I got Aster on top of BNB, and then honestly, I got Avantis. No, I can't do Aerodrome Finance like that. I would probably say Aerodrome Finance is the top project on base, and then the second in command is going to be Avantis, right? And then you're going to start looking at meme coins like Toshi, Brett, stuff like that on base. So I think Avantis is up there with Aerodrome Finance, but Aerodrome Finance above Avantis. There would be no Avantis without Aerodrome Finance. They kind of pioneered the way for DeFi on base, so you can't really compare the two. But yeah, anyways, I would put Avantis up there. So it is pretty low right now, but me personally, I'm seeing a bearish signal, so I'm gonna make the bet that we possibly go lower, possibly even doing a double bottom at 35 maybe, and then going up, or just going all the way down to 28 cents. So just because of this rising wedge, I'm still saying 28 cents, just because the rising wedge. So I might be wrong. Hopefully I am, hopefully, but we'll see. This is all I got for you guys today, though. Hit the like button and subscribe. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. Leave a comment in the comment section. And yeah, as always, I'll be back with another video.